Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode number 31 of Reptiles and Cocktails. Today is another great day, to be alive, another great day to just be doing what we do and having a good time in the community of reptiles. So, today, my guest is going to be someone many of you don't know, and those are a lot of the actual reptiles and cocktails that's just most fun of is when you're bringing on people that people are not really exposed to, because you guys get to learn a lot and I get to learn a lot as well about that person through our questions. So want to appreciate everybody who's in the chat already. Hey Maki, hey Keys, hey T Keys, hey Keisha Keys, hey Bosa. Bosa is actually with me. So hey, shout out to Bosa, Rob, everybody in the chat. If I missed you when you first came in, I apologize. Y'all know I like to get to the guests. But Clown Scientist, I definitely want to shout you out. Thank you for just welcoming yourself into the community and actually engaging on all of our platforms. Pretty cool bag of nuts, I say. So thank you. So Jay actually is, I would say in the last year, really works hard to establish her business, which is Jay's Exotic Reptile Experience. I don't know what led up to where she is with reptiles today. And so those are always the fun ones. Those are the fun ones that I can ask those kind of questions and get to know those people better. And y'all know I always tie it into what reptiles do for us to even make us better, make us flourish, make us calmer, make us cope, or whatever the case may be. And I know that she and I are going to talk a lot about that. So without any further ado, hey Dre, just a reminder that we are getting closer to that 1,000K. So if you have not subscribed already to Lady T's Exotics, please do so. Pause for the cause and do so now. But if you haven't, please do so. Your support means everything. And the winner of my drawing will get a first class. Well, it was supposed to be a surprise that it was a first class. It kind of slipped on Key's show the other night, but I only believe in, if you're going to get on a plane, that you should, fly first class. So it will be a first class ticket for whomever in the United States who wins it. And there will be some exceptions too. If like a person, the whole point of me giving away the flight to Tinley is to encourage someone to go. So if it's not going to be a flight anywhere else, but if you win, you can give it to somebody who wants to go to Tinley, or if you're someone who already purchased your ticket and I know that you are attending Tinley already, I will definitely make an exception for you, and we'll just deal with that as it occurs. But I'm hoping the winner is someone who has not already purchased the flight to Tinley. So hey Jeremy. Okay, thank you. Thank Eric Small Factory. Hi, Brittany. All right, so we're going to just go ahead and bring on our guests. Hi, Jay.
Hi. Hi, y'all.
So can you hear me okay still?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yep. Everybody in the audience,
awesome.
Can you hear both of us okay? Somebody give us a thumbs up and we will go straight on. That's right, both. So let's share it out. Roll to 1K. Kurtwood, that's another exception. We will work it out. Trust me. Brittany, I agree. But I'm going to take some responsibility of how I approached it in my first year. But this is the moment. This is the time. And I definitely agree. If I did not know me, this would definitely be a podcast I would be subscribed to. And that's just true from the heart. So, Jay, tell everybody about who you are.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jay. I am a mother of many, a lover of nature, and the owner of Jay's Exotic Pet Experience. I've been owning reptiles only for about 2 years now, I want to say. But animals have definitely been a part of my whole entire life. Like as far back as I can remember, some type of animal, and oddly enough, a reptile has been part of my life. So
Got it. What type of reptiles do you own now?
I currently own snakes. I'm a snake girl. I currently own snakes. Mostly ball pythons. And don't get on me, Nicole, because I know you all about the reticulated pythons. But
I was a ball python person first.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. I was like, I'm gonna
retail.
get on here and just be ranting and raving about my ball python collection, and she's gonna be like, girl. But no, okay, I mostly own ball pythons, but I do have 3 boa constrictors, which to my delight is just a totally different game. And I guess it's that way for all snakes. And then I have 2 big, well, I say the lizards belong to my sons. So there are 4 lizards in the house, 2 bearded dragons, 2 leopard geckos, and then I own several tarantulas, which is a new thing of mine.
Let's talk about that. So the tarantula was the thing that one of those things that I said I would never own, and now I just love them. But I still don't touch them. They're just beautiful, and if you actually just sit and watch them, like one of the things that I learned to admire about them is how often they clean themselves and how much pride they take into grooming themselves. And just watch it, especially some of the bigger ones do it. It's just amazing. So what made you get that tarantula, that first one?
Okay. So I was starting Jae's Exotic Pet Experience, and I knew that I wanted to focus on something involving children because I love kids. Another love of mine is education. People just call me, I'm a teacher just by nature. Anything that I'm doing when I'm conversing with somebody, anybody that I've ever spoken to, if it could have been in passing, they learned something from me. So, and I feel like that's one of my superpowers. So I said, boom, combined the 2 of them. And then the other thing was just that, snakes get a bad rep. They just have a bad rep, and so, but it's just so dope. So there were 3 people who were very instrumental in me starting Jae's Exotic Pet Experience. One of them was Melody. Like, she was like the first one that was like, for Patterson Ball, she was like, girl, you better do it. Like, I know you put the post as a joke, but yeah, just do it. And then another person was Claudius. Everybody know Claude. He encouraged me. And then another main person was Q, or people know him on social media as Jay Holiday, the creator of Black Reptile Owners group. He was one that literally outlined every single thing that I should do to get my business going. And he suggested, being that it's going to be mostly involving kids, he said that I should diversify what I own. And he just gave me some animals to look into. And I don't think I was ever afraid of spiders, but I never dreamed in a million years that I would like to own them. And so I just, took some things from his list and I did my research and I just fell in love. They're very fascinating. And like snakes, they aren't as scary as society think they are. So
right,
that's how I ended up getting to tarantulas. I got my first one. It was a red stripe knee, I believe. And just from there, my collection just is growing.
Okay. So how many total tarantulas do you have now?
I think I have about 6.
Okay. I had vowed after 12 I wasn't going to get any more, but there are so many that I still don't have that are very beautiful. But I will tell you that they are my least favorite animal in the house because I can't engage with them. And
I'm the same way. I don't want animal, like I will never own fish because
hey,
it's like,
Angie,
I can't pick you up and hold you and cuddle you and love you. And that's and it's very because my tarantulas, I haven't handled any of my tarantulas. And it's only because I know they're super fragile. And I'm not so selfish that I just need to handle them. So maybe there'll come a point in time where I might maybe pick 1 or 2 up, but I'm just super afraid. And not for me, really for them, because they're very fragile creatures and a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, I'm afraid for both of us. I have some old worlds that I definitely don't want to
See?
ever get bitten by.
Mm-mm.
And I know that, like you said, with them being fragile, because I know for sure. I actually one of them got on me one day, but it did not do anything. I think it was the little what was it? It was one of the real little tiny ones. It might have been. Oh no, it's over there. But it's bigger now, but it was a
A
little
sling.
sling. And it
Uh-huh.
got on me and I felt it and I didn't even want to look. And then I'm looking at it and I'm watching it just crawl up me. And I just kind of moved slow and kind of blew it back into its enclosure. But that's the closest I ever gotten to it. But there are a couple that I truly believe if I went to pick it up,
Mm-hmm.
they would be just fine. Um, but it's to what you say. If they make the smallest movement, I'm not thinking about how many inches they are from the ground. Okay.
There you
And
go.
see, that's the difference between like the tarantulas and let's say one of the retics. I would never let anything happen to them. But
Right.
yeah, like that's a big thing.
Yes.
So, outside of the tarantulas, what kind of snakes do you have?
I have maybe 11 ball pythons, and then
Okay.
the other three are boa constrictors.
All right, and what are your favorites between the ball pythons and the boas so far?
As far as species, um, that's a hard question to answer because I just have a true affinity for the both. I respect each thing, for their differences. I could never, if they said if you could only own one species,
Mm-hmm.
I probably own no species because I can't pick and choose because they each species does something different from me. But I relate more with ball pythons. Like when people ask me, why did you what why would you get a snake? Like that's weird. Like you're weird. Um Ball pythons remind me a lot of my snakes remind me a lot of myself. Like snakes are judged without people even getting to know them. They just have a bad rap. People make up things about them. And I've been through a lot of that in my life. But really, they just be chilling. You lead them in a corner, they gonna ball up, they be minding their business. Don't bother them, they won't bother you. So I closely relate with that heavily. So
How do you utilize the animals? Like when you thought of how you are we're going to provide this reptile service, this Jay's Exotic Pet Service. Like,
mhm.
how is that set up? How do you find? How do you market yourself? How do people find you? And then how do you approach the experience?
Okay, so the very first thing I did with starting Jay's Exotic Pet Experience, which it wasn't that when no business has a name when you started, I think. I've started several businesses and a name came later. But the very first thing I did was I joined a bunch of photography groups in my area because I'm new where I'm at. I was born and raised in Miami-Dade. But now I live in East Texas, so I don't know anybody. I don't have any connections. There's one person that I know here, um, and that's my friend Bree. But other than that, it's a clean slate. So I started joining photography groups, and I learned that in photography, this is something that I learned from Quentin, and photographers would take your photo, take a picture of you, your snakes, whatever, and they do something that's called TFP, where basically you get the prints for free and they get to add your prints to their portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an even exchange. So that was the very first thing I did. And I ended up getting a lot of response from a lot of photographers. A lot. It was, I couldn't believe how fast the response was. But later on, I learned that snakes and photography is considered high fashion. That's something that I never knew. It blew
Mm-hmm.
my mind when I found it out. I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And then the very next thing I did outside of booking TFP shoots was my prior business. I did a lot of what's called pop-up shops. because my product, what I had then, it wasn't selling online, but something was like, do a pop-up shop and see if it sell. And I had a greater response. So I just applied that to Jae's Exotic Pet Experience. Hey, listen, no one knows me. Let me just, pay a vendor fee, go to this event and get my name out there. I can network with people. It wasn't even necessary about making the money at that point. It was really just about getting my name out there as quick as possible. And I know that I can make a better connection with a person in person as opposed to online.
Right.
So that was like very instrumental. And with Jae's Exotic Pet Experience was definitely doing the pop-up shop events. That was like the real, I'm networking with people. I'm getting to know people, that people are signing up for birthday parties, all of that. So that was like the main thing that I did that I feel like was instrumental with Jae's Exotic Pet Experience. Now, as far as how I approach the experience, the number one thing is I respect people's fears and phobias. I'm not the person that's going to try to force you to look at my snake, touch my snake, none of those things. The one thing that I do tap on, if I peep it, is your curiosity. If I get a bit of curiosity out of a person, the experience is going to go well, because guess what? If you're curious, you're going to ask questions. And I love questions. I love answering questions. So you're going to ask me a million questions, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to answer all of your questions and just give you that gateway into my perception of the reptile world, because it's just completely different than what a person may have experienced before. Right. And I just tell people there's two types of fear. There's a true phobia of snakes, and then there is, ignorance. I can't put it any other way, but it's like you just don't know about them.
Inherent fear, like fear that it was just placed upon you. You never came to that conclusion yourself. Yeah.
Right. And then as human beings, we naturally just fear what we don't know about. So I feel like if I could educate you, you probably won't love snakes how I love them, but it opens a gateway for a better experience with them. Because once you see, and then sometimes it really do just take for people to just see how I interact with my animals to feel a bit more comfortable to even come over to my booth, ask me a bunch of questions like, oh, okay, well, that snake, I never seen a snake like that. That snake actually pretty. Okay, well, this is a banana inchy pastel. These are snakes that you won't typically see in the wild. So I just start and I go like that.
So how do you plan to market the business in the winter
time? That's a good, because you know what? It's the business is brand new. I was not prepared for this summer. I was not prepared. I started Jeep, I want to say between March and April. I was booking up things left and right. However, the summer came, and this is my first summer where I'm at. I'm in East Texas. I did not know how hot it got. So people like, well, can you come do this party? Can you do that party? And I'm like, we're going to be outside.
They're Look like, at you from Miami, and you said I did not know how hot.
Listen, it's different. It's the crazy part. That's what people say. Well, you from Miami, and why you listen? Ain't never been no 103 degrees in as long as I can remember. It might have felt like that, but it's never been that. And we
even
all know
if it was high humidity.
That, and then also I'm in the house in the AC. I'm not outside sweating and carrying on with my animals. No,
yeah, that's what I always say. Texas is just a different kind of heat.
It's just so different. But just moving forward though, like hindsight being 2020, I know that is something that I do have to prep for. I have to put things in guidelines, because one thing I haven't done with my business thus far, I haven't put my contracts and stuff together. The only thing that I did do is all of my snakes at least are insured. I have like a liability insurance for my snakes. All of them, even though all of them don't go out, I have a select few that I do take out, but that's just something that I did. But as far as the winter goes, I was here last winter and it got pretty cold. So I am aware that if people are going to be booking, it has to be temperature controlled for the safety of the animals,
Yeah, see, I won't book my animals for anything in the winter. Nothing.
At all?
But see, I'm in a different state. You're in Texas. I'm in
Maryland.
Walking outside in the dead winter in Maryland, with any reptile. And I always tell people there, like when their animals or their lizards just up and pass away in Maryland, and there are people who take them out a lot, there's a certain point that animals just do not need to be commuted out into the weather. Just like there's a certain point that we go out because we have to, but that's when
Right.
we catch certain colds and things like that they can't otherwise battle off. So like I always tell people, your best photos is actually in the spring and in the summer. I suggest that you reach out then, but my animals cannot go out in Maryland. If you're in the different, like Texas, like even in your coldest day in Texas, depending on what part of Texas you're on, but it's Texas. Texas can still have 80-degree weather in your winters.
Right.
So it's totally different. Now, when you speak on the liability insurance, so the liability insurance only protects if the snakes injure someone. There has yet to be created a insurance service, and we all need to think about how we can make this happen.
Right.
Insures our snakes, because that is as a breeder and a pet owner. Like that is my biggest fear, because you can't even include them in your home insurance, right? Because
and
they're not covered.
And it's terrible because humans are more likely to hurt them. I'm scared for my babies when I take them out because they're more likely to be injured before they injure someone. So there should be an insurance that should exist to be able to, if something happens to my pet, it's being covered. So I agree with that.
Yeah, Mikey, if you have insurance, you can have what we have. It's like medical insurance, like insurance. I'm talking about there is no replacement insurance, no death benefit insurance if anything happens to your snakes.
Right.
It should be, but it's not. Like it should be something that we can pay into. But these are things. So let's talk about this. Okay. So with a certain breeder, we talk a lot about is so many things that in the reptile community, as we focus on, I think we donate a lot to things that we just shouldn't donate to. I mean, I'm gonna be totally honest. I always tell people I'm selfish when it comes to my money. I'm gonna donate what I want to donate to, who I want to donate to, and trust me, those people never asked for the most part. It's just that I chose to do it. But I have seen some crazy scams come up in the reptile community. 1 week, you need money to raise money for a sick relative, and then the next week you just fully furnished a reptile room with rats and snakes that you claim someone donated to you or someone asked you to keep. I can't. I am a businesswoman, and I just cannot see my money thrown away any kind of way. Right. So with a lot of things that we can do with our broad awareness of how many reptile owners it is. I have often thought about different ways to leverage money in the reptile community. And there's, like I said, a certain breed I talked to about this, and he educates us about this a lot. But I am one of those people who also, I'm observant. It's very easy for people to say, I will support you, right? So I'll use you for an example. I don't know you personally. I honestly just really started to pay attention more to who you were, right? Because you just started marketing yourself more. I love the logo.
Thank you.
I refer everybody to, Vaughn.
Thank you. Vaughn give me like 3 seconds to brag on her.
No, go ahead. Take your time.
I absolutely love Vaughn. I love everything about her, everything she does, everything she stands for. And just being able to speak with her before I even came up with the concept of my logo, it was just everything. She just made the process so easy. I more or less, when I first contacted her, I didn't know what my logo was going to be. But just after speaking with her, just her personality, it was like 3 days later, I'm like, I think I know what my logo should look like. And I don't know how to explain it, because my thing is I am very good at ideas. That's just like another one of my superpowers. I can come up with an idea, a name, all of that. But once I got in my head, I'm like, how am I going to try to convey it to her? And it's like, as much as I felt like I wasn't making sense, she caught right on, and she was like, well, just look at something that might maybe look like it. And I pulled something up, and she was like, okay, well, here you go. And I'm telling you, she did about 6 designs, and any one of those could have been my logo. Literally, it was
Yeah.
so hard to decide. She is just so dope at what she does, and you can tell that she loves what she does. And then you get things like this. And what I love about it is whenever people were like, "Oh my God, I love that logo," she always said, "Well, you know, the creator is the one that, you know, came up with the concept," which is true, but she executed it so flawlessly. Like, I love her. Okay, rant over. We can move along.
No,
I just love her.
I mean, everyone knows Vaughn was one of my very first guests on Reptiles and Cocktails. I was actually just chatting with her this morning too, with another venture that I'm going to be doing on YouTube with Dre. So she's going to be anything that I ever reached out to her for. Like I'm like you, I have great ideas, but her ability to create the vision. And I was talking to someone about upgrading my branding, and I said to them, even when I upgrade my branding, my logo will not change. My Vaughn logo, my Vaughn Guidance Designs logo is going to be with me through my entire reptile journey and experience. So, you know, from where I am now to where I will be, that is who's going to be. When y'all see like my table skirts and things like that, she's done a lot of my stickers, like just different things. But for the logo specifically, she will be my first go-to person unless she say I can't do it, I don't want to do it, or whatever the case may be. That's my person. I think she has an amazing creative mind, and got everybody in the chat. If you're looking for someone to do your logo, I mean, her prices to be are very reasonable.
Oh yeah,
especially for the
I mean, when
turnaround.
she listen, and I said when she first told me the price, I said I'm gonna pay for mine first, but I'm gonna tell her go because my first logo for my first business, I paid $500 for that logo. And I love my logo. My logo for my first business, I absolutely love that logo. You know, it was everything, and I learned a lot with having to, you know, pay someone for that service. So I know the questions to ask when I'm asking somebody to design a logo. Like a lot of people don't know to ask about vectoring. That's something that's very important for your logo, because one day I plan on seeing Jae's Exotic Pet Experience on a billboard. You know what I'm saying? If they can't take my logo, the digital file, and expand it to the size of a billboard, you would have wasted your money on that logo.
Right.
So yeah, her prices are extremely reasonable. And listen, y'all, listen, she got y'all. Y'all see the logos. Y'all be seeing them. All the logos, most of the logos y'all see other people with, and it's a dope logo. Vaughn probably did it. So yeah, do y'all stuff a favor. Do y'all stuff a favor and contact her.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, the turnaround time. I mean, mine was complex as far as what I wanted and with the vision and what I wanted to represent. And literally, after we had our conversation, I believe I had the draft in 2 days. And that was at max. That was at max.
She is fast.
Yeah,
she is fast.
Just really good working with her. Another question that was in the chat was from Dom. Dom said, "What high school did you go to?"
Oh, I went to the West. Class of 07. Miami Northwestern Bulls. I'm a Bull for life. Class of 07.
And what made you move to Texas?
Long story short, because it's a really, really long story. I was presented with an opportunity that I could not refuse, and this was like the best decision I ever made in my life. This was like Jeep would not exist if I had not moved to East Texas.
Okay.
It would not exist. So yeah, that's just a little nutshell of how I ended up here.
All right. And do you plan to stay in Texas?
I love Texas. I love Texas a lot. I do plan on staying. I think my future is here in Texas.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And how often do you get to visit Miami?
I have not. I've been in Texas for about a year now, and I have not been back to Miami.
Oh, wait a minute. Y'all went to the same high school. Dom said she 04, so one of those years y'all were there together.
Oh, she was in 04. I was a freshman in 04. Yeah, I had just got to the West in 04. Okay, all right, alumni.
Dom is one of my favorite sisters in the community.
Okay.
Maki.
What Maki say? I can't see my chat.
So
What Maki
you
talking
said
about?
it's Jeep. I always thought it was Jappy. So I'm glad you
Oh,
fixed that.
JPG.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, this
I normally say the whole thing. I don't know why. Maybe this
Jay's
is like
Exotic
the
Pet
yeah.
Experience. It's
I
a
just say the whole
mouthful.
thing.
It's a
So
mouthful.
Renee said, "What led you to buying your first snake?"
Hi Renee. Okay, y'all. So Renee is my best friend. If y'all hear me talk about my male best friend, that's Renee. That's him.
Oh.
And I'm so happy that he here. I'm not trying to get emotional, but he actually knows the answer to this question, but he said he gonna ask me a bunch of questions that he knows the answer to. And the reason he knows this answer is because he was very okay. So let's talk about it. Everybody talks about like what should be the first pet snake, and literally, I'm always like, oh, ball python, because I didn't know no better. I didn't know no better. Um, Even I know better now. To me, it's still a great first pet. But if you got my first snake, which was Medusa, Medusa is my first pet snake. I had researched for about a year and a half, and I initially was gonna get something that grew larger than that. But I have children, and you know, I was a little weary about getting something that was going to be a certain size. So that's when I learned about ball pythons. And my first ball python is Medusa. That's my most beloved ball python. If I had the sorry, I love the rest. I ain't even gonna say, I ain't gonna speak that because I love all of y'all. But Medusa is my baby. So when I first got Medusa, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't know what to look for, how to engage with breeders to make sure I was getting an animal that I would be able to properly care for. So I got Medusa as a hatchling. And she was a little itty bitty thing. She could fit like balled up in like the palm of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's mind blowing to me now. And yeah, no, those first 4 months with Medusa was hell. I don't even know no other way to put it, because it's like getting your ball python. You stressed out. You like, oh my God, it's gonna die. My baby gonna die on me. I don't know what to do. She ain't eating. Hey, what's going on? But with a lot of research and joining bro was like a really, really big thing for me. And that like just joining bro literally changed my life. It really did actually save my life, if I'm being frank. But yeah, joining bro and just learning everything and these techniques and using these tools from these generous people who were willing to give me the information and not belittle me. They were willing to teach me and show me. It was very instrumental in having a healthy Medusa today. But got my first snake because I love snakes. I loved snakes. In 5th grade, we had a little pet snake. I can't remember what kind of snake it was, but like a small black little snake when I was in like pre-K or kindergarten. So snakes just always played a role like in my life. Some way, somehow. It's always
Yeah.
been.
So it's so funny because, like for me, I think my first ball from the time I got my first ball python is 32 years. So to hear you say like 2 years and then it's just 32 years, something that I will elaborate on, that you said, and I want to point that out because a lot of people don't think about it. Of course, I love my reticulated pythons, but they were not animals that I would have ever had when my children were children. And not because necessarily that you can raise children. If y'all ever watch, it's a little girl named Emmy, her father is Ed. That child and the reticulated python is just like my grandchild, reticulated python. So it's not about whether you can, but where I think the flaw is that the reticulated python needs the same attention that your children would need. So you come home from school, your children needs to do their homework. Your reticulated pythons need to be taken out.
Right.
Your children needs to, if you have a baby, your baby done pooped and peed. Reticulated pythons poop and pee. It's not like ball pythons poop and pee. So
I
you
saw
literally have to like
Matthew.
clean. Yeah,
Matthew be showing them pictures.
you have to clean. So sometimes people don't take into fact what type of children they have or how many children they have when it comes to doing reptiles. So I say to people all the time, when you see all that I'm doing now, I'll be 50. Like I'm not a baby anymore. I don't have babies in a house, you know. I don't
Right.
have like my grandkids here. They don't live here full time, so I don't have to take care of them full time. So that is a major thing that people should consider, because you know I'm all about the proper care of animals. I don't. It's a
Yeah.
whole lot of no's for me. If you can't do this, don't do this. If you can't do that, don't do that. And I think that, and this works with pet ownership, because with breeding, breeders take care of the animals. Unless you just, if you have no intent on breeding, like really breeding, you know. But breeders, like the ones
Hmm.
that I hang out with, they take care of the animals. But
Right.
pet owners sometimes neglect them. And I'll give you a perfect example. Every breeder in this chat right now checks
Hmm.
on their animals every day. They're breeding animals, whether it's 20 or 50 or 100 every single day, unless they're not home, or
Right.
unless they're, you know, because what time they come in. So maybe it's every other day thing. But a lot
Hmm.
of pet owners can sometimes not look at their ball python for days, just like out of assuming that it takes care of itself. It does, but it's important to engage it. So,
Right.
what do you find? First of all, what is your belief? What is your belief in how much your ball python or your ball constrictors understand?
You say they understand.
Yeah, how much do you think that they comprehend?
They listen. They are aware. I think I noticed that because literally they all have their own personalities. And people don't believe that when you tell them that about snakes. They just think that snakes just want to kill you, they want to hurt you. But as far as the level of understanding about, I guess, what's going on or who I am or what role I play in their lives, it's a bit of a difference between the boas and the ball pythons. Because like with my ball pythons, I feel like with the majority of them, if I'm, providing their needs and things of that nature, they're okay. But then there are those that, like Steno, for example, Steno shows me a lot of affection. She's a ball python, and people are like, oh, well, she's just going to your mouth, and giving you snake kisses because she's sensing the heat. Why aren't the other snakes doing that? All of them should be
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
mean, I can't say I've ever experienced with any ball python except for Busy. Busy is my only human like ball python. But with the retics, I mean, I can show anybody any given time like which one was going to do this particularly because they like this. Like which one will just lay on my lap and just let me rub their heads. Like it's different things like that.
Hmm.
And I would say boas are very similar in which you can determine which one likes what when
Yeah, yeah,
I would say
that's
they're very
true.
similar as well. Now I do have some ball pythons that have very unique personalities. There's some that don't care for too much cuddling at all, and then there's other ones that as soon as you open the rack, they don't care necessarily if you feed them, but are you going to hold me or cuddle with me as well?
Right.
So I think that's again study that needs to go further down the line. But I will tell you that if you ask me what ball pythons are, I don't know. But I can tell you with reticulated and Burmese pythons and definitely boas, they're very matter of fact in their thinking. Retics actually can be stubborn. Like they can have a target. And I want to go there. And it's one of the very few times it will show you that you can't pull me back. You can't pull me back. You can't pull me back. And it's like almost funny, like antagonizing. Like they'll give the
Right.
like a look, ha ha, you can't pull me back,
Right.
and get to
Right.
wherever they want to get to, and then retreat, and then come back to do whatever you wanted them to do. But the
So they
point
have a
was,
sense
I
of
wanted to
humor.
show you that you really can get me back. I know it seems like it works a lot of times, but you really can if I
Yeah,
didn't try.
I'm just allowing you to do it.
Exactly. And like I say, and we been here tripping. Like I'm like, that is so mad. Look at him, like you are antagonizing me. I'm talking to the snake. You're looking back at me, antagonizing me.
I talk to my
Um,
babies a lot. I talk to my snakes a lot. I sing to them. Some of them I rap to them. It really just
mm-hmm.
depends on the relationship I have with them. But you know what? That is very similar to boas because the two largest snakes in my house are my two male boas. And one is hypo and the other is common. And Ranjan his personality is, first of all, he does not like being in his enclosure. He will love to roam, and I let him roam most of the time. But the funny thing is, he will roam and go to a corner and just go to sleep, and I can check 3 days later and Ranjan is there. Machiavelli, on the other hand, that is my busybody, and he is the one, he is gonna fight me tooth and nail. And before I can just put him back in his enclosure, he's just moving all the time. He won't sit still. He won't. That's what Mac has not been anywhere with me, because he's not gonna sit still. Ron, he'll pose for a picture all day long. That's just him. That really is my model, my little model snake. But Mac, on the other hand, and I know he knows what he's doing, because I'm like, if I say don't go over there, you're gonna hurt yourself, he'll look at me and he'll go but knock something else down. Like, you didn't say nothing about this bookshelf, so it's coming down.
And that is the one that you take out the most, right?
I have them out a lot. Mac, I let him out because I don't know, in my mind, and it's weird, because with the ball pythons, because they're smaller, I don't feel as comfortable with having them out. But with Mac, he can roam this whole house. I'm gonna find him. There's no crack big enough for him to get through, slip through. And hopefully he don't learn to open no doors anytime soon. Even then, the doors are locked. So I do have the two bigger boas, which are Mac and Ranjan, out the most. And they're just like roaming the house and things of that nature.
So yeah. Boas, there, I would say that you don't have to worry about them opening doors, but when you do go to a retake, it will.
I want a retake so bad, and
any given day, and know what it's doing. Like, it's intentional about it. Like I said, I honestly think that any animal that you have, like, as crazy as it sounds, my dream animal is an alligator. But I can remember when people told me there was no way that I can handle 8 retakes, and I have 8 of the most intelligent.
Wow, you have 8.
You're going to have.
You have 8.
They're very, and that's the thing. You don't see me struggling with them. Y'all have never seen me on a video battling with a retake. Like, it's just not going to happen because of the conditioning that they have. I honestly feel that my boas are harder to maneuver than my retakes because of that. Like, my boas, if they latch onto something, it's so hard to get them off.
That's it.
You can tickle their belly sometimes or rub their back and they'll move for it. Like, you can communicate with them different, but boas can be very stubborn.
Yeah.
Now, if you would say, what is your dream for Jeep right now?
Right now, my main focus is on expanding my collection, but I'm very particular about what I will add to my collection. I don't want to be that person that's just buying stuff because I can buy it.
Yeah. I
want to know that I can properly care about this animal. I want to have a natural, curiosity about this animal and grow to love. Like with the tarantula, I could have picked anything to start collecting, but once I started research, it was a natural interest in just knowing that I can care and provide for them, and it'll be an enriching experience, not only for myself, but for my customers as well. So I'm very, very particular about what I'm adding to expand my collection. But my main focus and I guess if you're asking what my end game is, I just want to establish a business that fosters positive interactions with these animals, because I feel like if I can foster because most people, when they say when you ask them why do you scared, say, oh, when I was a child, one chased me down the street for 15 miles. And it's like, I don't like to call people a liar, and I don't like to debate with people on their experiences,
but
it's ridiculous. Like, it's not true. Like, so instead of trying to debate with people,
a lot of people have that real vision. Like, it's a
and I'm like, and the funny part is, it's like that's what everybody would literally say. Or they're like, I have a friend, like, me and her are really good friends. And friend, if you watch this, I'm not talking about you, but she was saying that she was excited about meeting my snake because of me. Right. And she was like, but I had a bad experience, and one tried to bite my breast when I was pregnant. And, her owner said it was because, they was after the milk. And I'm like, Friend. I said, friend, I don't debate with people about their experiences, but snakes don't even lactate. They have no interest in milk at all whatsoever. It's
Oh my goodness.
ludicrous. It's a lie. It was a lie. It was a lie, friend. But so my thing is, with her, when I think about that, I just say, you know what? Whenever we get a chance to link up, if you're willing and you're open, I would like to, for you to negate that negative experience with a positive experience so we can balance that. You can, now when you think about snakes, you probably won't be in love with them, but you have two memories to lie on. And my experience with you is going to be the most recent. And that is like my main goal for my business. I know that I can't change people's mind about things. Mm-hmm. The only thing I can do is just present them with my experience with my exotic animals, which is why I call it Jae's Exotic Pet Experience, because it's going to be, most people that we meet, they're terrified of snakes, but they've never interacted with them.
Yeah, and I think though, this is what I can say: if I can get the snake in your hand, then you are a snake owner. And that's the point. Like, if you just get over that fear of feeling it,
that initial
snake owner,
that initial fear, and I love that when I get people, like, one of my biggest memories of that, I was at an event. Children are naturally curious, and they're not as afraid as we are as adults. We've been taught to fear our shadow almost. And there's this one lady, her children really, really wanted to come see my snakes. And she was like, no, I'm not having it. They're not going anywhere near. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, So she ended up coming by and she kind of like shoved her kids in my direction, was like, hey, they can go, but I'm not going. And what I do when I have parents like that, because it's very common, believe it or not, no shade, no tea to the parents out there, but they're so afraid. But I like that they allow their children to have the experience. So once I'm done, speaking with the kids and letting them, touching and asking them how they feel. One thing I do with kids, they just put a little finger and I say, well, how does it feel? Oh, I thought it was going to be slimy. And I'm like, no, silly goose. Like, where'd you get that from? They're like, okay, it feels weird, or it feels like a balloon, or, so we're talking through that. And once we're done with everything and they got a chance to hold it or not hold it, because all children don't hold it, I kind of I find the parents and I'm walking the children back to the parents. And I'm like, thank you so much for, allowing them to have the experience, even though you're afraid. So this woman in particular, well, they said,
you just said it, even though you're afraid.
Yeah, like, no, seriously, but I'm keeping it above. But okay, I was busy that day, so she ended up inching her way back over there, and we started a conversation. And before, she knew it, she was wanting to touch one of my snakes. I believe it was Magneto, and she was like, "I'm literally in therapy for this phobia," and I'm like, and she said, just the way that you presented it, you made me so comfortable. She says, I'm not going to hold it, but just me being here. And I say, no, I completely understand. This is a win for me. Can we take a picture? You don't have to hold it. You don't have to touch it. I'm going to take this picture. You're going to keep it from you. And you're going to look at this as the day you conquered your fear. You conquered your phobia. And this is why I do it, because that's just such a powerful thing. We all have things that we fear.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so empowering to conquer that fear. Like me, I'm not comfortable on camera. I have my reasons. I don't like taking pictures, things of that nature. But I said, if I can do the things that I fear, I know that I'm a better person. And that's what it's all about with Jae's Exotic Pet Experience. I want to foster a positive experience with people in relation to reptiles.
So you just exposed what your disability is. I always say that all of us who love reptiles have a disability. So yours is, you don't like to be on camera, so you're somewhat of an introvert too.
Oh, I'm an introvert, not even somewhat. Owning reptiles definitely opened up a network for me. I can speak with people, because my biggest thing is I don't connect well with people because people talk about a lot of things that I just don't care about. And for the life of me, I can't force myself to care about. Most people are superficial, no shade, no tea. You like what you like, you love what you love. I don't judge people in that manner. But if there's a person in my life that that person cares about is going to the club, getting the next drink, having the next boyfriend, we're not going to connect on much. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm a very reserved type of individual. I want to talk about how we're going to build some wealth. I want to talk about, this property we looking at, our dream house, our dreams, our goals. Not only talk about it, now we're going to make plans to do it. Now once we made the plans, we got to figure out how to execute it. That's what I care about. And of course, Reptiles. So joining Bro was very instrumental in why I'm able to get on a podcast and speak about this, because Jaleesa, a year ago, 2 years ago, never in a million years, because I'm a very recluse type of individual, very, very introverted.
Well, I think, everybody have their outlets and their places that, they inspire. I will tell you that I think anybody at this particular point in their lives who are not focused, right? Look, Jay, exactly. Look at Mike's comment, because I'm great to tell you that, Mike, I cannot express, like, today, the position I am in today, I would not even have the opportunity to think that I should explore, right? And where my life is going in the future is definitely coming from the education of likes of such, of like Aussie's Patreon. So what you talked about is the conversations you want to have. Let me just say this. We talk a lot in that Patreon about surrounding yourself with like-minded people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and that doesn't mean that the group of people, like I think that everybody is going to get to the same place, but you might want to take a train, you might want to take a plane, you might want to take an automobile. Mm-hmm. But some of us like to travel on planes, and we want to get there.
I love my favorite way to travel, hands down. Put me on a flight.
We're gonna get there fast. I personally don't like the fly, but I gotta get there fast. So I'm gonna get drunk to get there fast, but I'm getting there fast. Okay?
Not get drunk.
Oh, I have never flown. I have not taken one, and I probably flown. My passport has more stamps than the average bear. I've never gotten on a plane sober, not even for work events. My job knew that. Like, she has to be drunk before she gets on a plane. Like, so let's go ahead and this how many drinks she's probably gonna have before she get on it. Like, if y'all want me to fly, right? But I'm gonna get there. But to my point, we all gonna get there at different places. Right. And something that you said is something that I'm quick to turn on and off. Like, a lot of times people play like they're in the same mindset that you are. And the moment that I see that you're not, I can click that off. I'd rather be in the bunch of the bushes where everybody says I'm a rose and it really is a rose, or the person says I'm a thorn and they really are a thorn, and then it's just a bunch of us, the roses, the thorns, and a couple buttercups, people who claim what they really are. I love when the thorn you might need to come
exactly
stuff down, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But be who you truly are. And so for me, through this journey, every time that I made a reduction in my what I would call my luggage, my baggage, I've watched those levels improve and those things expand. I think that everything that everybody we come across for a reason, and everybody that we are dealing with, you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference of the people who are truly, truly supporting you. Right. And I think sometimes the frustration comes from me as a woman, right? Mm-hmm. Even in this chat right now, this is probably the first time, Dom, that I've seen, and I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women back to back commenting in the chat. In my chat, normally it's nothing but men that support me, and I'm talking about go hard for me for support. Mm-hmm. And what I would like to see when it comes to you and others, that's why you're on this podcast. I don't know you personally. I don't need to know you personally. This is something like, I don't need you to kiss my butt, right? To become a part of my vision of what I'm doing. I'm going to see that this is another woman. I don't need to know everything about you, but she's grinding. She's acquiring these animals. She's taking care of these animals. Ooh, she's socializing with these animals. She's teaching her children how to care for these animals. Now she's taking them out into the world and educating people about these animals. That is the person that naturally I'm going to invite on my podcast, not the person who wants to be on it. You know what I mean? Like, why? You know what I mean? Let me design this for what it's worth, because I think that the exposure of people like yourself, it gives, I wish there were people in my life 15, 20 years ago on a
Mhm.
podcast talking
Mhm.
about how they can utilize their love for the animals and make it a business, and make it a lifelong journey for theirs. I didn't that didn't exist. So one of
Right.
the benefits of people like you and a lot of other people that I support, who are doing a lot of that educational piece, because that's what it's about. That's what it's about. For me growing up, I knew a lot about animals because animals were everywhere. Growing up in my elementary school, there
Mhm.
were all these field trips that we took to nature centers where I was seeing boa constrictors
That's dope.
way, yeah, way before I even, knew that I would want a ball python.
That's dope.
We saw all kinds of snakes that were native to Maryland. We saw snakes that were not. The only thing that I never saw in any of my elementary or middle school dealings was the reticulated python. We saw the Burmese pythons. We saw all of that.
Right.
So with that being said, that educational piece is why I think that you have this group of people, who just has no fear. Like if you talk to like a Q, for example, I'm sure he would tell you, because he went to some of the bougie schools in Baltimore too, that they had animals that he was exposed to at a very, early age through some of these science centers and stuff like that. A lot of that has been taken away from these children in the last 15 years. I don't know what the hell we spent our tax dollars on. But those were the things that made them not be afraid. Or like a Dre might not be afraid of a beaded lizard. You know what I mean? You saw some of these things.
Right.
I think that if we also, as women, support each other and show up for each other,
Show up for each other.
just it. Like
Show
sometimes
up.
there are females that I support. Melody being one of them. I love her. We have never been out into a restaurant or met in
I
person,
love her too.
but I've always loved her. Candy's supposed to be on this show. I got to think Candy needs to be on this show. I love
She does.
everything
I
about
love Candy as
Candy.
well.
You
Some
know,
very dope personalities. And you
yes.
know what? It's so funny because like people like Melody, people are never like my main biggest supporter, and like I have a relationship with her behind the scenes. It was at one point before things got super busy for the both of us. We were talking like every single day.
Hey, Mom.
And yeah, it's just so empowering. And not on the forefront, but on the back end, I definitely have most of my support is from women. Believe it or not, it's from women that I've actually been supported. But like I said, in the background, and for me, that's enough. But like you said, it's important for even something as simple as showing up, because I don't own reticulated pythons, but I plan on owning one somewhere in the future. I'm making preparations just to make sure that's something that me and my children will be able to do. But I do look up to people like you in the industry because I see how you move, and I just respect, from what I've seen about you, I respect all of it. That's why I was nervous to come on here, because I was like, listen, I be cussing. Listen, I cuss up a storm. I ain't trying to go in
I
there.
do
And
too.
this gonna be the only episode
See,
that
that's the
can't air
thing.
because I couldn't cut out a couple of cuss words here and there. But you know, and it really was just like a respect thing.
Like you said, like we was talking about, it's the brand. Like even for you, if you're marketing to people and people's children, they want to see you as
A
the woman
professional.
with some class. But I can tell you, anybody who ever had an argument with me in the background, they will tell you I will uncuss the greatest of the sailors. Okay. Okay, and look, and it can go hard. It can be horrible, but it's, as my daddy used to say, Nico is a time and a place for everything. I just picked my time and my place.
And I'm learning that. You know what? And I'm learning that because of people like, let's talk about Melody. It was something that I did, and I know from a business perspective, that's a big no-no. But I had to let her know, listen, as far as business, because I've owned several businesses. I currently own several businesses. I said, I know where to titty talk, because my main thing is, if I can't be myself, I can't do it.
And
you know what I'm saying? And I know I'm rough around the edges. And I feel like that little bit of roughness around the edges is what's going to attract my tribe to me. I'm not a cookie cutter person. I'm not a one-dimensional person. You know what I'm saying? I know how to be professional. I know how to articulate, but I need to be able to express myself in a certain manner. You know what I'm saying? Still be respectful. But the thing that happened, if anything happens, she's the person that's gonna be like, okay, could you have handled that differently? She's not gonna belittle me and down me. She's just gonna be like, well, could you have handled it a little differently? And I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? I absolutely could have. Did you have to say it like that? You know what? I did not have to say it like that. And like, she's that person for me, because she'll say, she's not gonna like do this to me, but she gonna say, nah, come on now, Jay.
So Melody, I would say, again, we don't agree on some things, but she's probably one of the epitome of what disagreeing should look like, right?
Exactly.
She doesn't judge. She
yes.
says how
yes.
she feels about something.
Yes.
I think that she has a great sense of humor.
She does.
But I will tell you that she and I communicated. I think that's how we met, on something that when I tell you that she would tell you her first introduction to me was a whole lot of cuss words. Me and her was working through something together, and I was not a happy person. And I had to reach out to her, and that's how we actually connected. And that's how our friendship started. Us dealing with this situation together. And even through that, I felt like, and she knew I was angry. It was so funny. And she knew that my actions was warranted. But the way that even then dealing with that, how she was just calming me down, because she was going through the same exact thing I was going through. And I was like here with it. And she was just like so here. And it was just so cool. I love people like that. And I mean, that's my spouse. We are under normal conditions. He's the calm and I'm the storm. And
I
under abnormal conditions, it's reversed.
Me as and it's so funny because I talk about being an introvert and being reserved and being a recluse type of individual, but if it's something that I care about and I know that I'm right about it, I'm gonna raise hell about it. Like, that's just me. If I know that I'm right, I'm not finna shut up about it. But people like Melody, okay, well, you're not wrong, but could you have handled it differently? And it's like, yeah, I could have just left it alone. It wasn't even, I don't even know why I put all that energy into that.
I don't know. Sometimes it's like how my dad said, you got to get the getting while the getting is good. Like,
I'm the person that I be needing my lick back sometimes, but no, like what you said about being there, because I'm that type of person. We don't have to, first of all, if I interact with a person and we agree about every single thing, somebody being fake.
Right.
Somebody is being inauthentic, somebody not keeping it real. Yeah. One of my longest relationships, which is a friendship, is about 20 years old. I met my sister when we were in 11th grade together in middle school. And those 20 years, we've only had about like 3 fallouts. But they were big ones, but it was over something we disagreed with. And I don't want to fall out with my sister, but to me, that's a stamp that we have a genuine relationship. Because who is gonna agree on every single tiny thing? It's impossible unless you're just being. I'm not like a pacifist. I'm not agreeable. You know what I'm saying? I like to think outside the box, and I love to play devil's advocate. I like to give people alternate ways to look at things. So just to know that there are people in my life that can do that for me, that's everything to me, because everything don't need a big, explosive, long, drawn out reaction to it. You know, you can reflect on it and say, hey, listen, it is what it is. Let me move it along. You know, so I think that having people like her supporting me is very instrumental. And like you said, it's really just for us showing up for each other. It means a lot.
I think I lost you. It's someone actually just tried to call, so I lost some of the audio, but I'll get it back. Hold on 1 second.
Alrighty. Oh, I see my sister. Nana, if you stood in the chat, thank you so much.
All right.
For joining. If you
I don't want to do the wrong thing, so bear with me.
I can hear you. I don't know if they can hear you. I'm going to just read some of the chats.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, you okay? You can hear me now?
Yes.
Can I just? I was reading the chats while you were away on my other phone, and I see that Maki said that I'm great with the devil's advocate mess, LOL, and that's why Unique Serpents by Maki popped up. Maki is another person that is a good supporter of mine, even though we have our little ups and downs. That's neither here nor there. But Maki is like just like the personality and just the energy and just like encouragement and all of that stuff is always top tier, is always on point. If you ask her to be there for you, she gonna be there for you. So that's definitely another person that I do appreciate and that has been instrumental in even me, like something very tragic happened. And like she was the only person, she's probably still the only person that knows. And she was like the person that I called, and I was just ready to be like, man, I can't do this. I can't do it. It's too much. And she's like, feel like that for today, and then tomorrow you got to get up and you got to do it. And so, yeah, that's important. That support is really important, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, Maki is my little buddy. I like Maki a lot as well. I love the energy, the genuine energy. I absolutely love it. So outside of like people in the reptile community, has there been anyone that you inspire or inspires you to increase the level of your business? Or like you talk a lot about, I think Mike said it earlier, some people think that there's only breeders in Aussie's Patreon. Like for the vision of anybody in this chat who truly wants to learn how to live a financial free life, I am telling you that is the Patreon that you need to be into. The people that you're being
Drop the link, Bosa. Put the link in the chat, Bosa.
Yes, Bosa. If you can grab the link to Aussie's Patreon and put it in the chat before this ends. But I will tell you that it's not just about the snake money being invested. It's just how to, and you and I have talked about some of this before. Like even now, I think we had a conversation before in the bro group about life insurance and how people don't realize that people always, one of the major differences in this is, I'm sorry, between black people and white people is that white people have been understood how life insurance should be used, and they use that
out the womb.
Yes.
Out the womb.
Yes, like they use it as a way to create financial wealth, and you're starting to see a lot of people communicate it that way, because before, first of all, it blows my mind. Let me pause for the cause.
Okay.
Every last one of us is going to die. We are going to die. Look, I don't know how to tell you.
I love you so much for just being able to say it, because people get scared. It's like, no, we're not going to be here.
I had to say to my granddaughter the other day, showing our family plot, and I was showing her where I was going to be buried. And my granddaughter, 6 years old, she's like, wait a minute. You're going to die. Yes, I'm going to die. Then she goes, when? I said, I don't know. I could die right now. And she was like, no. Yes, that's the reality. And the fact that we're going to die means that someone is going to be left alone to bury you. Let me tell you, the best thing that you can do is, and you don't have to be one of the people who's trying to make some financial wealth from it, okay? I'm just telling you, it's the easiest way to do it, to pay a couple dollars a month to cash in $100,000 after you buried somebody, because with the days of burying somebody for $5,000, you can't even embalm them for that. So let's say the minimum to bury even a child will be $20,000. Get life insurance.
Okay? Yes, I remember that conversation, and I think that was one of the first times that I ever was like, hold on, wait, okay. She gets it. She understands it, because my friends, like my best friend Renee that was in the chat earlier, and I see that my female best friend Denisha was in the chat. I don't know if she's still there, but hey, bestie.
Yeah, she's still here.
But yeah, they can tell you, we talk about this all the time. I'm that I don't have many friends, because like, listen, I'm that business person. Like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? When everybody know who's going where, when, what, where, how. But the thing about that, in our community, we don't like to talk about death, and we definitely don't like to talk about it in relationship to an insurance policy, because the first thing is, well, ain't nobody finna offer me for my policy. And it's like, come on, friend. Like, so you rather just leave your family struggling to bury you. Or me, I want to be cremated. Me personally, that's my person. But it's like, does that really make sense?
Even cremations are expensive. They not cremations ain't a couple $100 no more. And then you got to buy the urn, like just the service alone to get family cards, like all of that.
And I know that my family don't have that, and I don't want them going around. Listen, that's why I always tell, listen, because wealth building is like, listen, the quickest way for any Black person, any person, not just Black people, but to create instant wealth.
Doing it. And can't you stay right there? Because I'm gonna check that real fast. You just said sounds expensive. Just feed me to the wildlife or burn me on the pie. Look,
who said that?
Here's what's going to happen to the body. That's not even a point.
That's not what we talking about. Exactly.
The point of life insurance is that you still going to have a whole lot of debt that you're leaving behind to somebody.
My kids still need to be taken care of.
There's a next of kin who's the next of kin, whether they wanted to be the next of kin or not. Or if you ever, like in my situation, I always tell my husband I want him to be able to pay this house off and travel the world, like, and just not have to worry about anything. Like, those are the things that when we talk about setting financial wealth. And I would tell you that if you look at on your pay statement, your life insurance is the cheapest thing that you actually pay.
And some companies give you an accidental for nothing. Some companies give you, if you work for people, some companies give you an accidental for nothing. But I can tell you,
$50,000 for nothing.
Yes, and I can tell you, like, life insurance that's less because a lot of people, I don't know one person that ever bought it.
Let me relate it to the reptile community real fast, Jappy. I wish Raina was in here. Raina knows this about me well. I don't contribute to GoFundMe's, not even for my own family. If I have been saying for all of these years, get life insurance, and you choose not to, please don't express and put that burden on me.
Don't send me the link.
Don't send me the link.
Do not send me the link, because life insurance is cheap. That's the bottom line. It's cheap, and it's overlooked. It is so cheap. It costs less to pay life insurance than to fill your gas tank. Life insurance than to pay a phone bill.
To bury y'all, I'm not doing it. I'm telling you now. Look, you ain't got to work. Yes, Nicole said it. She said that in advance. She's not donating. She's not collecting.
Don't send her the link, y'all.
No service. Like, cause that's the type of stuff that bounces back on the reptile community. Somehow it becomes our responsibility to take care of people. And I'm all for supporting people who support themselves. But life insurance is one of the cheapest things. So if you don't have that, I'm telling you, that's something that you want to call. If you have car insurance, just in case that car gets wrangled and your body gets wrangled, that car is insured, but your body is not. Think about that. Right.
Sometimes it's just a matter of putting it into perspective for people, because people don't think about it in that manner. But why am I paying on a phone and not paying on the security for? I look at it as security for my children, and I teach my children that, listen, my job while I'm here and I have the capacity is to make sure you guys and your children are straight. And your job is to make sure your children and if we carry it on like that, my bloodline is good when I'm gone. I can rest peacefully. That's why I thought when I die, I don't care what y'all do. Listen, it's not about that. Y'all do what y'all do.
That's my body.
But I want to make sure they're taken care of. I know that if I die today or tomorrow, my kids they're rich, not wealthy, because wealth is the mindset. And I'm teaching them that they know what to do. Like right now, my son is 15 years old, but if I was to die tomorrow, he has full control over all the finances, because I put that in my will, because I've been teaching him since a very young age what to do. If mommy passes away, what to do. It's hard to have those conversations with your children, but I understand that I'm not going to live forever.
Yep. Well, none of us are. That's just the reality of it.
Right.
But even with that, like thinking of who's going to take care of my animals, like all of that stuff is written out. Like there's certain animals that only can go back to their original breeder. There's certain animals that I only want this person to have, and stuff like that. And there's certain animals that whether my husband likes reptiles a lot, that he's going to have to clean. You're going to have to learn how to love on Larry. You're going to have to learn how to love on Busy, and you're going to have to learn how to love on Star, because they ain't going nowhere.
Right. And the same for me, like my animals, more or less like, because I'm getting things as time goes along, but I have these conversations like my my best friend Renee, he knows that he's gonna take care of the majority of the snakes because he actually started my journey with me. And if you ask him, he'll tell you like half of these snakes is his. He'll tell you that because he was there in the beginning when I was taking care of these animals. He was right there. You know, he was doing the feedings, making sure they ate. I think he like bought Medusa her first enclosure. He will tell you that these are his animals. And I love that because guess what? If something happens to me, between you and the boys, y'all good, y'all got it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I have one son who I see has a natural ability with the animals. And you know, he's gonna get the other animals. He just have a natural love in the neck. When I look at him, I see how he interacts with them. I know that I'm not just making or forcing him. He is just naturally attracted to it. You know, even with our beard, we have a bearded dragon that was a rescue, and because I don't know about lizards. It looked weird to me, but I didn't know nothing was wrong with the lizard. And it's like he took it upon himself, and it wasn't even walking when we got it, Nicole. The bearded dragon was not even walking, couldn't crawl, nothing. And my son came to me and he said, Mom, I need this, this, and this. And I got the things that he needed. And that he's big, but he's like running around and running amok through the house now. And when I saw that, I said, you took such a good care and nursed that one back to health. I'm going to get you a healthy one now so you can experience raising one from a little, do they call them hatchlings? But raising one, and I got it from Melody. And he was a little itty bitty thing when we got him. And now he's enjoying the experience of raising a healthy one, you know? So with the kids, knowing that he has, even like with interacting with my animals, a lot of my animals, when I got them for the first time, I was a little hesitant. And it's him saying like, oh no, he looks calm. He just chilling, Mom. Just let him come out the bag by himself. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And he was like, I don't feel like, you know, he's angry or anything like that. He's just being curious. And I'm like, boy, stop trying. I knew. I was just trying to see.
I'm telling you, Michael knows. Michael has a better intuition with most of the animals than I do, and he actually, and I think that's when I talk about people, when you watch them like the Tom Crutchfields and they're handling the animals, it's that thing where if you don't fear it, like I can't, and I always say that I can't fear, even with the tarantulas, I can't fear them to the point that I'm not going to change their water. I'm not going to straighten up and clean up their enclosures. Even though I don't have to do it that often, I have to do it. Right. Or I'm not going to take the top off to feed them, because I do think that you take opportunities like that to engage with them as well. Right. I wanted to highlight something that was Hensler said. He said, life insurance is cheap. I pay more for Dr. Pepper every week than life insurance. And that's just the true reality of it. It's the cheapest bill that we actually have. It's
$100,000 policies out there for like $5 a month. Maybe cheaper. Right. Just depends. You got to shop around.
Yeah.
Insurance is cheap.
And like I said, at least get enough to bury them. That's it. If you ain't doing nothing else, if you don't want to utilize it for some financial wealth for your family, because it's one of the easiest ways to do it. We all going to die, so you might as well just go ahead and increase the premium and not leave your people in the background struggling. Like, imagine losing that person and they still have to pay the premium on that, pay the mortgage on the house. The mortgage company doesn't say forgive that, you know.
They don't. They want their money.
They still want their money, especially if the person who died wasn't on a deed.
Right.
So, what would be your next big purchase of a reptile? Or what is the next reptile that you are studying to own?
Okay. So it's not just one. Mm-hmm. I fell in love with reticulated pythons about 2 years ago. There's a guy. His name is Salofa. Some of y'all familiar with him, some of y'all not. But he has a reticulated python. He has more than one, but I'm going to talk about the one I fell in love with. He has a reticulated python named Dionysus, and that was like, I want that snake. What kind of snake is that? Mm-hmm. He's like a reticulated python, and it's like I'm doing my research. Now, that was when I was in Miami, and we know that you cannot own reticulated pythons in Florida. It's banned. It's prohibited. It's a lot of stuff you cannot own in Florida. And a lot of people like, well, they ain't gotta know what's in your house. I'm the type of person that better safe than sorry. I'm not about to play with these people. They got more power, more control than I do. It'll be just my luck. You know what I'm saying? That they come knocking on my door and everything is gone. Not just the reticulate. I don't know. They play dirty.
Right.
So I'm not even gonna risk it. But that was like one of the first snakes I wanted to own, but I spoke on, with the children. And even now, that's something I plan on doing. But I talk a lot with my boys about owning a larger constrictor because they're going to be instrumental in the care of this animal. I watch people like you and other people that own, reticulated pythons or larger constrictors. The very first thing y'all say is when it gets to a certain size, do not handle it by itself. Doesn't matter how docile, doesn't matter how used to it you is. You always have somebody because you never know what can happen. And me personally, I'm clumsy. That's why I will never own hots or anything that is venomous that can kill me because I'm so clumsy. It'll be just my luck. I'm trying to feed the little, I'm saying? I'm trying to feed it a rat and it bite me and I'm dead now. So I would never own venomous snakes. But my son, that's something that he wants to do. Just as a side note, but for me, it's a reticulated python, and then I want a tegu as well. So those are the two main things that I'm focusing on acquiring. Now, what I get along the way will just be things that I want, like a cicada tortoise and things of that nature. But as far as like the really, really big things that I know is probably not going to happen for another couple of years would be a reticulated python. And I only want one. And I don't care if y'all say, oh, you're going to get attached and you're going to have $1 million.
Don't even get the one then. Look, I'm just going to warn you now. Don't get the one. Don't get the one. I'm telling you, I was you. Only one. Only one.
I only want one though. I'm gonna make it look, I feel like if I make it a good one, like if I just go ahead and just spin the bag on a good one, I think I can do it, Nicole. I really do.
You know how many bags I done spent? Have you
listen, you got some dope. You got a dope.
I have a golden child cow, okay?
Listen, you got a dope collection, and I'm like, how am I gonna choose? Because you have one of the dopest collections that I've seen, and everything you pull out, I'm like, I love that one. Maybe I should look into getting it. I like that one. Do they make more of those? Because I know a lot of them are probably first time, or they're just an exclusive of their, litter. And I'm like, if you get one, don't rush to just get a retic, because I almost fell into that. I almost just got a reticulated because I really, really wanted one. And I'm really, really good about pulling myself back with that because I want to, delayed gratification is a big thing. People don't realize that. People don't realize when you deny yourself something the first time around, it gives yourself time. That way you avoid things like buyer's remorse. And I don't want to feel remorseful when I buy my retic.
You wouldn't though. Like it would be the most rewarding animal. You'll start looking at the other animals like, I
just need one. And then a tegu, of course. I'm not really into
you see Renee's comment. Renee, you have to tell. I'm telling you, she gets one. That's it. She might.
He just saying that because he's saying that because I went overboard with the ball pythons. But it's like with ball pythons, it's like I ain't gonna lie. I did get shiny object syndrome with them, but I have like every snake has its purpose. It's like a bomb story about how I got it, why I got it, the names, all of that stuff.
She sound like the typical crackhead.
No.
They all got their purpose. There's a story behind them.
I could quit if I want.
Blue pill, yellow pill, red pill.
I could quit if I want to, guys. I could quit. Now, listen, if I pop back up on the podcast 10 years from now and I got about like 25 retics, y'all be like, play the clip back and be like, now look at you.
Oh my God. We all say that. But I do think like it's a wonderful life. Like when you get off this podcast, I don't have to leave out the door to just really have some good socializing good times, Yes. I have animals to care for, to feed, and I get to do that. And I think sometimes we take for granted the beauty of owning exotic animals. So like somebody said, support USARK Florida, because that is in the United States of America, that's a privilege.
It is a privilege.
It's a privilege.
We do take it for granted because you know what? I can honestly say if it was not for my animals, I would not be where I am. And I don't mean physically, I mean mentally, spiritually. You know what I'm saying? Life hard. Life is really, really, really hard. And my animals make it better. Like you said, being able to care for them. You know, I'm having the privilege. The average person really couldn't do what we do. You know, they look at it as, you know, well, that person is just crazy, or that person is a lunatic, or like one day the snake don't eat it, or whatever they be saying.
Right.
But they don't realize how rewarding it is to have the connections that we have with these animals, the bonds that we have with these animals. And they don't realize that, well, I'm saying these animals, but these is really my family. These are my pets. These
Girl,
are my
you ain't got, look, let me tell you something. My husband, if he was standing right here and say, well, when these snakes not looking right or acting right, they get emergency attention. When it's one of them, I'll be like, do you have a fever? When you throwing up? Like, I got all these secondary questions that's going to determine whether or not we're going to the ER. Girl, if it's a snake, like, the first time I saw T'Challa, so that's the oldest retic. So she outgrows her hide. So this is the first time I'm seeing her shed outside of her hide. And I swear it looked like she died. Like her, everything, the way, I can't, it's the most dramatic thing watching a reticulated python go through shed. Once you can see him outside of the hide. So I'm like, oh my God, something wrong with the child. And my husband was like, well, just read up on it. Maybe ain't nothing wrong with her. So I would touch her and she wasn't moving. And this is my most reactive retic, but did come to find out she was in that part of shed that it was so deep, like she don't want to move. And find out she bumped me, and I saw that she was okay, and she moved her head. So I understood it going later. But watching a large retic go through shed, that process is longer than most snakes, but it's hysterical. They die and come back to life is what I tell people. I mean, they literally be girded.
This is my first time hearing that. See,
they
that's why.
Die and come back to life.
See, because I'm crying, I'm everything. Because like you said, when we think something is wrong with these animals, it's like, what's wrong with my baby? Because the thing is, with your husband, he can say, I'm feeling this way. Right. With the snakes, we have to, is something wrong? Is this normal?
You got to pay attention. You got to die. You got to sit there and just watch their behaviors and see what they're doing differently and stuff like that. Absolutely facts. Absolutely facts. Right. So if you could say, because first of all, and we're not going to touch on it here, you're very transparent about things that you went through from a child to here. So if you could say something to your child self about reptiles that you wish you had known when you were a child, what would it be? If you went back and say, Jay, little 5-year-old Jay, this is what you should do to help you cope. This is what you should do. This is what you should get to help you feel better.
I think I would have told Lil Jay, you can own snakes. You know, before I got my first snake, I didn't now, mind you, I've seen people with snake. Like one of my favorite memories is in Miami. They have Martin Luther King Day parades every year. And, you know, it's just basically, well, you know what a parade is, right? So we just do that in honor of Dr. King. So I'm there one year, I'm like 7 years old, and I'm with my mom, and I see this guy, and he has this big yellow snake around his neck. It was an albino Burmese python. I know that. I didn't know that then. And I said, oh, mommy, I said, look at the snake. And I was like, and she's like, oh my God. Now, just a little tidbit about my mom. She's very instrumental in me being comfortable on the animals because my mom let us have everything when we was younger. We done had bunnies, iguanas, lizards from out the yard. She encouraged that type of thing because my mom loves animals. She never said no anything. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, can I go, you know, pet it? And look at me trying to do the little baby J voice. But anyhow, so she like, I'm gonna watch you, but I'm not going near it. So I make my way to the guy and I'm like patting his leg and I'm like, can I see your snake? And he's looking down at me like, little girl, you ain't scared of this stuff. Mind you, he's cleared the path. Nobody's near him. It's like him and like two of his homeboys. And he looking down, he like, little girl, you're not scared of this snake? I'm like, no, she's so pretty. And he took, her name was Sunshine. He took Sunshine from around his neck and he brought her to my level so I could pet Sunshine. And, you know, him and his friends are like supporting the snake. And, you know, and he's like really getting a trip. And he's like, look at this little girl and the rest of y'all grown people, bop, 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 and dot, dot, dot. And like, that's one of my fondest memories of snakes. I have several, but that's one that I can remember that I was like, when I grow up, I'm gonna have one just like this one. And it wasn't until 2 years ago that I'm like, why you ain't got no snake? You know, you could just get one, right? And I'm like, where would I get a snake from though? I started my research is everything, right? And I think that's what I would tell my younger self, like, get snakes as soon as possible. You can actually own snakes, because for whatever reason, it never dawned on me as an adult person taking care of myself that I can actually own and start building and fostering these relationships. Because some of the snakes I have now, they might outlive me. You know, most of these snakes live.
As long as they taken care of, they will. That's a fact.
Right. So that's what I think
I feel about
tell
my turtles.
myself.
My turtles will outlive 5 generations at minimum.
Listen, when I get my stuff, it has to go in the will, and y'all can't sell it. Y'all got, this is like a living heirloom. I always say that my cicada is my living heirloom. This is how they connect with me. And like, call me cheesy, but I'm doing something where I actually have like a red leather binder that I'm using to write like out my story and all of these things for like my great, because I want them to have a connection with me. And this is a part of that. They can, if this exists in the future, we don't know what the future gonna hold, right? But if a YouTube exists when I'm not here in the physical, they can come back and they can be like, oh, look at great grandma Jay. Like, this is how, you know, Jae's Exotic Pet Experience started, you know? So I'm all about that, building legacies, and my animals are a part of that.
And I would say that when you go back and you look at Steve Irwin, I always say, if he can look down from heaven and he looks down now and he sees that his zoo in Australia is still operating, those kids, those grandkids, 20 years from now will be able to look at videos. Like, I remember one day Kevin told us to Google a video. It was him and Steve Irwin on one of the late night shows. And I'm like, wow, like even way back then, you know, how them two were collaborating with each other. So my last question is, how do people book the Jae's experience, and how do they find you on Instagram, and what else are you on? What other platforms?
What was the first part of the question, because I didn't understand?
I'm sorry. How do they book the reptile experience?
Oh, okay. So with Jae's Exotic Pet Experience, my main contact would be the Facebook page, and you can go in the search bar and type the @ THEJEPE, and my page should pop up now. Jeep, like the truck, the little, that might pop up, but just go to pages and you'll see Jae's Exotic Pet Experience. All of my contact information is there. I do also have Instagram, which is @Jae's Exotic Pets. And those are like the two main ways to contact, and you could just book through the DM. You can DM me, you can message me, and you can book in that way.
And your location in Texas, what is the closest major city to you?
I think that probably would be Shreveport, Louisiana. But I do travel. I'm in East Texas, a little town, very tiny town called Carthage, Texas. But the closest largest city I would say would be Shreveport. But I do travel.
Okay. And is there a limit to how far you travel?
Just for now, I haven't. I mean, I've got some people that's trying to book me from like maybe 3 hours out. So just right now, I'm not in the capacity to do that. But most of the people that book me, they are in the vicinity. You know, I think the farthest I've been for any booking, whether it be photo shoots, birthday parties, or just reptile education, as far as like churches and schools and things of that nature, the farthest I've been out is Minden. Y'all probably not familiar with it, but it's in Louisiana, and that was about like 2 hours out. So I don't have a strict, I mean, if I can get there, I'll go.
Okay. That's right, Jeff and Angie. 1K movement. So everybody who haven't subscribed to Lady T's Exotics, make sure that you have subscribed. Make sure you share this video out. Make sure that you keep Jeep in mind. Jae's. Come on, Jae's
Exotic Pet Experience. Yes.
And so you'll know that she's in Texas. She's close to Louisiana, Shreveport, very specifically. So keep her in mind that if you're looking for anyone who's having a event, birthday parties, or just want her to come out to, because you even done like some local shows and things like that, to just come out and just share that experience. Because really, the reason why I bring on people such as women like herself and men like herself is because the reality of it is that when all of us are dead and gone, all the breeders and keepers, it's going to be the education of these animals that definitely conserve them. And we want, that's the ultimate goal for even those who breed.
Oh, it felt good to hear you say that, because
Yeah.
being a newbie in the hobby, because I'm a noob, y'all, I just got here.
Thanks, Tim.
Being a new, I really didn't know I'm a pet collector. Let me tell you, any breeder I've ever bought something from, they're like, I can't wait till the switch clicks in your head and you say I'm ready to breed. And I'm sorry to bust y'all bubble, but I'm not a breeder. That's not my. I just know.
And that's okay. So for me, I didn't start breeding until last year. And I've owned animals, like I said, 30 plus years before I ever decided to
But
breed.
did you always know that you would breed, that be a breeder?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't see myself as a breeder.
I initially got the reticulated pythons because I wanted to breed them. And then once I started to own them, I determined that that's not the best animal to sell, because I would want people to take care of them the way that I do. And so therefore, I had already developed the hunger and some of the equipment. I said, well, you know what? I love ball pythons too. So let me just see what this is about. Now, the thing that inspired me about ball python is that when we talked about what I would have told my younger self would have said, Nicole, forget all those other goals that you have. You love snakes. Breathe them now. And I would have been in a totally different place.
You would have been a top.
Exactly.
You would have been
a totally
32 years. Listen,
right,
you would have been.
Look, that is, if there's ever some things that I look back on, it was like all these snakes you owned and you just never knew. And so, and again, that's because no one was saying breed the animals.
You didn't know. Money. We don't know what we don't know.
There wasn't even I mean, and then you saw some people, right? But even back then, like the Tom Crutchfield was all about education for me. The going to the zoos were breeding them because they was using them for education. That's my mindset. Not that there was a whole rich market for it. So
man,
that's
people,
a mistake.
It blow my non-reptile friends. I shared a post because I always joke, like when I hit the lottery, and it's not a joke. If I ever hit the lottery, I'm blowing a bag on like a really nice snake, and they're like, "It's no way people are paying that much for a snake." Ew. And I'm like, just because you hate it doesn't mean it's not valuable.
Oh yeah,
I went to the group and I had people tell how much they pay for snakes, yes. And my friends are like, that's crazy.
And their defense, like when I was buying snakes, I bought them based on what they look like, not based on what they were produced, right? So when it got into, well, if you want to produce this, so you look at $10,000, $20,000 differently when
it's
you
an investment.
Produce and get your return on the investment. And so when you look at it from that point, this $10,000 can make me $300,000. Like you just, at minimum, you look at it differently.
Yeah, because I have people telling me now, well, could you teach me how to breed? And it's like, no.
Yeah, but I think it's important.
No references, no nothing, because I like to believe, I could be wrong, that most people that are breeding have a natural affinity for the animal anyway.
So I was getting ready to say, that's exactly what I was ready to say. You'll see the difference, and trust me, no, there are some people who just want to breed because they just want to make money, but there's a difference from that person who breeds because they love the animal first. And you're going to see it. You're going to see it in some of your conversations when you want that person to ship that snake out, and their minimum temperature is 72 degrees. And you say, well, 65 is safe. And they say, no, I'm not mailing to 72 degrees.
And I get that from a lot. I get that from a lot. And I love that I have that now, because people that care. And like when I purchase from private breeders, they'll tell you, like people like Eric or Marcus, they'll tell you, I'm like, hey, the snake is doing good. And they're like, I mean, it's your pet now, but it's like, no, you had a relationship with it. And I'm going to let you know that your baby is in good hands, because it's like, that's just who I am. Anybody that I mean, I would say maybe not the morph market people, even them sometimes I'll hop in the chat. Thank you so much. The animal is healthy. They're thriving, they're doing good, and they're surrounded, especially my big boas, because they've been with their people, and they were private owners for so long. And just to know that I'm taking good care and that they can adapt and things of that nature, that's the sign that I care. And that's the sign that they care.
Pictures. I still send my breeders pictures, like specifically of my boas. Like my pastel dream monster tail, I love that snake, and he was my first boa, and he was a little huffy boa when I got him. So I always take pictures and send them to his breeder, and then come to find out that me and his breeder, it was so funny, we're in the same one of the same Patreons, and I'm like, that name sounds so familiar. I'm like, you're the one I got Keiko's from. And so Gershon, I still send pictures and show him his clowns all the time. Like I think that's one of the beauties of owning though. And I know that when I sell snakes, I'm gonna want to stay in contact with the people.
Well, you're not gonna listen. I'm gonna be bothering you, child, because listen, any they can tell you like one thing she gonna do. She gonna be like, okay, they growing, they don't, but they didn't poop right this time. What's going on with the pet? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? I'm gonna check in because I like to know that they care. You know, they encourage it. I like to know that they care. I like to believe that they care, and I like to show them that I'm taking good care of their animals, even if it wasn't their personal animal, that they literally were just breeding. I still do that. So listen, when I get my ball pythons, you breed whatever you breed. When I purchase, listen, I'm gonna be
oh girl, I'm gonna be bringing some fire. Like I tell people all the time, like every time I look at it, I'm just sitting there playing with the genetics. I shake my head at myself. I'm like, ooh, girl, I cannot wait. All right, so I want to say just thank you for coming on. I know that we booked this a while ago, and I love that we were able to stay committed to the schedule. That's always great. That's why I like to book the way that I book, because I think it's easier to commit to the schedule. So my encouraging words is to continue to do your thing. Find a way to market over the winter seasons, even in Texas, like if you can't go out, but so that way you can continue to market your brand. And I know that you're not really big on camera, but I think that you'll be good, like watching you today. Like all of y'all who say that you're not good with the camera, come on here and you nail it. And y'all can't just say it's because I'm making y'all comfortable. No, it's
no. Listen, I've watched your podcast and I was just telling somebody this. You adapt to each one of us in a way that because the Nicole that's interviewing me didn't interview, Keisha last weekend. Like I noticed that about you. You adapt to us, and that's a comfortable thing for me because it's a conversation. One thing I'm good at, I don't like to be in front of cameras and stuff, but I can talk. How long we been on here? I can talk. It's going on 2 hours. So yes, that is very unique to you, and I appreciate that from you. And I am considering, because I've had like schools reach out to me to do educational videos tailored to their school and their class, and that is something that that I do have in the works as well, because like you said, I'm not comfortable doing it, but I like to educate, and I have to do it in a capacity that makes it. I'm not always going to be able to go out and go somewhere and educate people with the animals, but I can sit here in front of the camera and say, hey, this is my leopard gecko, bellissima, and tell the information about that. So I appreciate you so much for having me on.
Yeah, and
this was a big deal to me
too. Yes.
This was a very, very big deal to when you first launched this. I was like, I'm gonna be on there one day, and I don't know what made it cross my mind. This is what Jeep didn't exist.
Right.
Jeep did not exist when you launched Reptiles and Cocktails, and I love the cocktails part. And listen, when you have me back, we gonna have some drinks.
Yes, like I said, it's just that I've been on this health kick, and normally if I had drinks, because I was dealing to death with my brother, whenever I'm with my Southern family, we're drinking a lot. So.
My condolences.
Yeah, so I'm trying to just like bounce back from that, and I just finally parted with the grandkids today, because this is the longest time. Because I've worked all of their lives, so this is the first time that I'm not working.
I'm so happy for you.
Like to have them almost 14 days in a row. Like, girl, they had a whole mutiny not wanting to go home today.
That is a big deal.
And
that's a big deal.
Again, it's all about just knowing what to do to make it sustainable, And like I said, you're very educated in that as well, but there's some things I've always said that I was educated as well, but there's some things that God just exposed, and it's just like, wow, this is the time, and I can tell you it feels great. I cannot lie to anybody. It feels great. Like I said, even something as simple as not having to send my grandkids home on Sunday it's just a blessing.
That's
To be
amazing.
able to add an additional podcast that's going to be coming soon with Dre from DW Exotics, who is
I know Dre. Dre, you in the
yeah,
chat?
that's and it's going to be a really good one because we are on two different spectrums of this YouTube thing, but and we kind of have a lot of like conversations where we battle, right? But we respect each other.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of like change that and put that into the podcast, but educate people at the same time as well, because he's big on that, and so am I. So yeah, if any advice I can give you is just utilize your Instagram a little bit more just to expose yourself through the slow months. And so that way that it's always ways that you can get that additional income, because you can do live streams. You can do the live streams for the classes, like you said. There's so many ways that you can actually do it. So thank you, Vaughn. Thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you,
thank y'all.
Miami. I didn't see you earlier, so thank you everybody who we may have missed. Nene, everybody. Guys, remember to share this out. Please, please, please help me get to that 1K subscriber. That is a big goal for me. I can't believe I'm where I am today, but this last year, starting January, was really a grind. But where we are today is just phenomenal. I thank everybody in the community who supports me. And there's a lot more to come. And so just like I'm telling you, Jay, keep doing your thing. I'm going to keep doing mine. And there's so much more to come with it. But I think the most important thing is that we all have a place in the community, right? We all can't do the same things. We all have individual talents, and you found your thing and continue to build on it. I think one day you will see the billboard. In fact, I remember one day that you posted on Facebook, it was a billboard.
Yes,
and
she
that's how
made.
I tell people all the time, that's how you create your vision. Like that.
Vaughn did that for me, because I told her that. I say, because when I dream, I naturally dream big. I see the end goal. And I was like, I want to see that on the billboard. And she did that. And she doesn't know, but I cried when I saw that, because that was showing me that she believed in my vision, and she brought that into fruition for me. Because I believe you can see it clearly, she gave me my clear vision of that. So I know.
You can see it. You right can believe it.
Yes. But thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Was fun.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you, everyone. Everyone, enjoy your Saturday.
Bye.
Bye. Angie and Jeff, I see y'all later. I hopefully look, inbox me if I need to bring me some mommy juice. I don't want to be left out this time. If you have not watched Celtic Balls, Ladies of the Night, it's Saturday. I think my time is 7, so I think it's 6 Central. Jeff or Angie, if y'all can drop your time in the slide, I just get go to Celtic Balls, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and you won't miss it regardless of what time and where you are. But if you want to just have a nice, wholesome podcast that's surrounded by these strong, independent, beautiful women in reptile hobby, and laugh the entire time, please go subscribe to Celtic Balls. And her podcast comes on Ladies of the Night tonight. So we'll be definitely see me in that chat pretty soon. Bring the juice. Yes, I'm bringing the juice. I got some good old Jamaican rum down there. Come on, get that mixed up and bring the juice. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Vaughn. I'll be talking to you real soon, no later than tomorrow for sure, because Dre, he's a bully. Dominique, thank you. Bosa, as always. We got to bring Bosa on the screen.
Hey, Bosa. I knew that first thing was going to see was that smile
in the background. I appreciate Bosa. Oh, I can't wait to bless Bosa. Thank you guys so much for coming through. And we're going to say peace.